All right, welcome all. We're so glad to have you guys here today. We have a great lineup for you. We've got some numbers that'll be helpful. We have some events to tell you about, which are super exciting. And of course, we've got a special guest today who does over $100 million in sales and has some great marketing tips for you, and a special story about how she secured a high-end client and closed a big deal with somebody you all know. If you didn't see my video, it'll be a surprise to you, and we'll all have fun together. So we're glad you're here today. We are doing this mastermind today. We are also doing an event coming up in July that we'll tell you about. And we just encourage you to plug into All Things Happening Luxury, because we do have so many great things developing on the luxury front. So let's jump in and share with you the numbers of the way that things look so far. We literally just got these moments ago, which is part of why we're just getting on the Zoom with you guys, our digital experience here. I want to take you through what's happened so far 2024 year to date. Total luxury listings sold 4468, a volume of 7.6 billion. Buyers 4856 for 8.5 billion. So a little bit more buyer than seller side, but not bad, right? Pretty close. Total luxury closings 16 billion, and total transactions involving referrals 1,423. Did anybody on this call get one of those referrals? That's part of the power of this group. Kathrin, awesome, great job. It's great to see hands go up. I just had 3 or 4 agents text me today about referrals. That's an incredible part of the Keller Williams platform. So that was $4 billion of business was just in referrals, and agents who did deals over $1 million, $1 million or more, almost 8,000 in our group. So it's awesome. So great to have you guys here with us. And right now I want to bring in our South Florida luxury ambassador, Kathrin Rein. Welcome, Kathrin. Glad to have you.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm excited about today's call.
Yeah, well, I knew you would be, because I knew you were excited to hear what Gwinn was going to share. She does such an amazing business. And one of the things we have coming up is the 4 essential pillars to grow your luxury business. And so I just wanted you to take a minute and share with us about that.
Yes. Okay. So Caroline is our director of professional development. So you all know her. She's really amazing, and she's an amazing teacher too. So her class is all about how we can provide value to our clients. So with everything happening right now in the real estate space, the good agents understand what's happening, but the great agents can explain us what is happening and how we can help with the value we provide. So we got to be very, very clear on our value proposition. And for those of you that are members of Luxury Pro, I did a call with Caroline about like a month ago where I talked about value. For those of you that were present on that call, I hope you liked it. So Caroline will dig deeper into providing value. She will help you to define your value proposition, and she's going to dig into the 4 pillars. So the 4 consults you need to have with your clients are to consult to their why and expectations. You're going to consult to what they are looking for in an agent. And if you are a potential match, you are going to consult to your value, what you can do for them, and you consult to the agreement. So we are so lucky that Caroline is coming all the way from California in July to South Florida. We're going to have a beautiful location at the Colony Palm Beach Hotel. And you're not just going to see Caroline. I want you guys to see that as an amazing opportunity to network with other luxury professionals, with other masters of the craft within our space. And it's just going to be a fabulous day. And hopefully you can attend, sign up. Space is limited, and we'll see you all there.
Yeah, we're getting in the chat box already people saying they have signed up. So don't be a stranger on this. I don't know if we have a max number. Well, I'm sure we do. But I think we've allowed a little extra room. I know we'll have at least 50, 60 great agents there. So it will be really a terrific time. Kathrin, did you notice I tried to tie in the colors here a little bit for you today?
You what?
Did you notice I tried to tie in the colors a little bit for you here today?
Yes. Yeah, I'm glad you matched me, Mark.
Yeah.
You got the memo.
I had to look a long time to find this color, but I did. So anyway, thank you for that, Kathrin. Appreciate you sharing. We want to jump to our guest now, and the amazing Gwinn Volen from Jacksonville, Florida. Let me just tell you a little about Gwynn's group, and then she's going to share with you. She actually took time especially to prepare some things that she felt like her group has succeeded with that she wanted to share with you specifically. So first I want to show you what the Volen group looks like. They have a great way they present themselves. And so we've got some pieces we want to show you here of their team and of what their site and their experience looks like. So Alex, you want to take us through that? You're working those that angle. Here we go. All right. So here is the Volen group, and here is here's the team. Right, there's Gwinn and Karen and Cindy and Willow and Jennifer and Nancy. Best in class team. Why are they best in class? Well, let me brag on them for a little bit because I know Gwinn won't do this, but they are #1 in sales volume in their zip code. They're the #1 luxury team in Jacksonville. Second large team, Jacksonville Business Journal for 2021 through 2023. Quadruple platinum team 21 through 23. Quadruple platinum agent 21 to 23. KWATL Partners of the Year for 2023, and there's more, right? It's good to have these things, just like, by the way, your numbers, we want you to have the lore numbers so that you know what you can brag about. If you've got numbers like this, great. If you don't, use the luxury division numbers about how much Keller Williams has sold in luxury. Here are their 2023 numbers so you get an idea. 108 million plus in closings, 26 list and 34 buy side, so it's a total of 60. Average sales price is about 2 million. And gosh, who wouldn't love to close 60 deals for 108 million plus, right? With a list to sold ratio of 98%. So lots to unpack here. And as always, we're going to give you a chance to ask questions. You can just raise your hand. Now, Gwen's going to go through some of these slides and pieces that she put together for us, but I also want you to feel free to raise your hand or drop a question in the chat box, and I'll kind of manage it so that we sneak some questions in here for you as well. So without further ado, let's bring Gwinn into the fold and welcome her. Gwinn, thanks for joining us and being here and spending part of your early afternoon with us.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
So let's start with really the fundamentals, Gwinn, of what you do. And what you shared is fundamentally what we tell agents is there are 3 places they should get business if they're going to be most efficient and most effective. And the first place they should really look at is their sphere. So the first thing they should want to do really is build and nurture a sphere. And it's something that you've really hung your hat on. So share with us a little bit about that. What should we be doing with that you think makes for really a special experience in your group?
Sure. Thank you very much for having me. I think it might help to talk a little bit about how I got into the business and explain how I then
Develop the sphere.
Build the sphere, because I
Yeah.
think that background is probably important for everybody. So I've been in real estate 8 years. My previous career, I loosely say I was in search and discovery, web search and discovery. My education background, I actually have a degree in library and information science and English. So super weird background to get into sales. But, I think it did give me a skill set that's a little bit unique when I was entering the business 8 years ago. And I think the other component to that is, I'm not a salesy person, and I think that tends to come across with my network and people that I'm working with. So, my background, I was with AOL for years working on their web search products. And when I entered into real estate 8 years ago, I took things that I was good at, which I knew about web search, I knew about content, I like to write. And, I kind of folded that into how I started my real estate business. So my first year, my first sale was a $50,000 condo. I think I did 8 sales with a total sales volume of 800,000. And then now, I'm selling over 100 million a year. So anyway, to how I work with my community, I sat down the other night with my husband, and I often think about this, why am I successful? Librarian turned salesperson. And we kind of broke it into 4 different places. You've got your skills, which I had some skills to bring to the table. you know, my personality traits. I'm a connector. I do love being around people. You know, leading up to going into real estate, I was very involved in you know, my kids' schools. I was room mom. I was putting on events for people. I heavily involved in my community in a lot of different ways. Then there's obviously your environment. Something that I do not want to discount at all when people are trying to build their business, because they'll say, how did you get successful? I live in a very nice neighborhood. It's right behind a exclusive beach club that, you know, has golf courses and that kind of thing. So, you know, my network that I live within is a higher end community. So that helps. But then the other piece that I think I've sort of worked with my sphere and past clients is flat out hard work. And that's something that I think people see. My network sees the hard work that I put into it. You know, I probably work 60 hours a week. I'm crazy responsive. I very competitive. You know, all of those things. I'm in the office every single day. You know, I get up, I work, but so all of those things. And I think my community sees that in me.
So you're talking about really the areas that have contributed to your success. And what I heard you say is really kind of work behaviors from where you started, and
Right.
then your environment, who you know and where you live, and really capitalizing on that, right? Those are
Right.
kind of a couple of the key pieces.
Exactly. And you know, I think those are all inputs into you know, building your business. And then for me, it, you know, connects with my sphere and how I do that.
Yeah. So now you said skills and personality traits, and you talked about being a connector. Tell us what you mean. What does that look like? How are you connecting with people and making that work for you?
Well, I think in everybody's, you know, everybody has sort of their natural, what is it, their natural personality trait that sort of makes them them. And I am the person that if you call me, I'm gonna, you know, if you're single, I want to connect you with someone to date. If you need a job, I want to find you something. So I'm a connector. I'm a networker in that way, not a you know, I don't go to networking events and glad hand people, but I genuinely want to connect people. And so I think that's what I mean by being a connector. So by virtue of that, I have a lot of resources and I know a lot of people.
Yeah, so you're listing for specific things, and it doesn't necessarily just have to be a house. It could be anything that's in their world, in their life, you're trying to connect with.
Absolutely anything. I need a college counselor. Yeah, you know, I think, you know, you definitely have people that respond to others that way. And that's my gift to others, I guess, if you will.
Yeah. Now, you said work behavior, 60 hours plus a week, in office daily, highly responsive, unhealthily competitive. What do you mean by that?
I mean, I do not like to lose. So I guess an example would be if I go on a listing appointment and I feel like something went wrong. You know, you can't always read the room. I'm usually a good read, but if I feel like something is off, I will rush back, send detailed emails. I'll pull together spreadsheets. I'll do whatever it takes to go back and impress that person. If I lose a listing, I watch it like a hawk. Yeah, you know, so I guess I'm just weirdly competitive.
Yeah, and part of that is because you want to win. Part of that is because you can learn.
Always, like if I don't get a listing, it of course bothers me, but I mean, it deeply bothers me because I want to understand what I did wrong and course correct on that, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
So this is a great list here. Is there anything else you'd like to add to this piece here in terms of areas that have contributed to your success?
You know, I think really you know, the environment that you're in is super important. I think people using their natural skills is important. I know when I go to family reunion or make a camp, I get all anxious and think, well, gosh, I need to go hire a video production person, or I need to go do this. You get all this FOMO. And so what I would say to people is use what you're good at and then apply it to your business. And in terms of my skills, I do a lot of writing. I have a very well-read blog. I have great SEO on my website. So I've used those things, and those things have been the things that make me successful. If I venture off and try what other people are doing and it isn't in my natural state, it's hard to be successful at that. Like, Kathrin, I can, she's got her kind of personality. I think you have to work off of what you're naturally good at and then build from there.
Yeah, and you're going to give us some examples of that in a little bit, and because one of your points is really be consistent. It's easier to be consistent if you're working in the area that you really like.
Right.
Before we get to those examples, though, you talked about core values, and you had a piece you wanted to share with us on what the core values look like. So I want to put that up and just have you share about those. Tell us about the core values and how that plays into your success.
Sure. So, Alex, you have to hit one more button, I think, to pull them up. But so I have a small team. I started out as an individual agent and then added people on over the last couple of years, two agents and then 3 staff. And I sat down one afternoon and really thought about what's important to me and how do I want to present myself and what do I want the people on my team to represent. And these are, kind of a random list, but this is what really encapsulates what I want to present to people. I want to be genuine. I want to be honest, extremely resourceful. I like to have fun. Like, we like to laugh, and I don't ever want to take that out of my day, or it's not worth working, in my opinion. So, I definitely have a lot of good laughs with customers too. So it's all of those things that make us sort of who we are.
But what I love about this is when we do career visioning and we're hiring people and bringing people into our world, we talk about a missing persons report. And so often as I've taught this, and I'm teaching it tomorrow on Marco Island. So if you're not doing anything, join us from 9 to 12 over there with the Marco Island group. But this piece gives you clarity when you're building, Gwinn, right, on who you're looking for. This is really crucial, right?
Right. Absolutely. And every person on my team, illustrates these qualities, or they wouldn't be working with me.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah, I love that. Yeah. All right. So then you've got the circle of trust, which you all know the circle of trust from the movie. I think that's Meet the Fockers or something like that. I don't think you stole it from that, Gwinn, but
No, I didn't.
that was kind of a wild movie. But you have your own circle of trust. And I really like how you shared this piece with me. Share with everybody else how you use this and what's important to you about this.
Well, so I saw this slide, I think it was just last week or the week before. I don't know how many people have attended the Value 2 presentation, but super helpful. It's not, I think a lot of it is, here's how to be a, natural, authentic person. Here's how to be a real estate agent. Some of it is that, but this really struck me in large part because, I think just like everybody, I've done really well, but sometimes I think, well, why me? Like, why did I get hit with the golden stick? And I know the things that I do, skills, personality, all of those things. But when I saw this, it for me really encapsulated why I am successful, because all of these things are things that I naturally do and my team naturally does. So this, I think is super important. I guess in there, Alex, if you'll hit the next button really quickly, it'll pop up some animation.
We're gonna get some nice puffy
There
clouds.
you go. Okay. So I have 3 little additional clouds to this, if you haven't seen this slide. And the first is when we sit down with someone, and it doesn't matter for me if it's a $400,000 listing or a $15,000 listing, we really sit down and listen to what the customer has to tell us. And by that, I mean, of course, their goals and what they want to do, but I usually have Nancy Freeman, my listing concierge, with me, and she's amazing. She was the MCA at our office for 17 years, retired, and then I brought her out of retirement. But she's a caring, just lovely person, and so she's paying attention the entire time to things that feel important to them. And I think both of us are a good read on what people are worried about, what their stress points are. And so we pay attention. And then throughout, very tied into Brady's surprise and delight, I think we highly personalize that experience. An example would be recently we have a customer, she and her husband have sold their place, very stressed. He's got brain cancer. not a crazy expensive, it's about a $1.5 million home. But they're stressed and they're older. And so I called the homeowner and I said, look, I'd like to send somebody over to do packing and organizing. I'm going to, give her 5 hours, give you 5 hours of her time, and she'll go through and help you get started. And she started crying on the phone. She's so sweet, but so we pay attention to those things, whatever it is that's going on. I think it's all about listening and actually truly caring about what's going on. Down at the bottom, in terms of don't BS, illustrate integrity, and if you make a mistake, own it. I think people read through sales all day long. I mean, there are sometimes I will lose a listing and I think, oh my God, that seller got sold. But for us, I really do not want to ever, speak a bunch of garbage to someone. And when I make a mistake, our team owns it. A good example, God, this was bad. It was about 2 months ago. I was working with a buyer and was out of town for a funeral, and my transaction coordinator was following the timeline. The appraisal did not appraise, and the appraisal did not come through. And the seller, we were working with the buyer, their seller contested it. Well, I'm out of town. The financing contingency deadline passes. And none of us thought my TC should have, that would have been her job. She didn't ask for an extension because we were in a contested mode. So this could have gone really poorly. The buyer, there was a $24,000 gap. And although they said, oh, we'll make up the difference, then when it came down to the discussing it, all of a sudden they're like, we don't want to. And so I negotiated with the selling agent to go splitsies on it, to see if we couldn't have it. And then I actually paid the difference of $11,500. But what that did, I was just honest with him. And now I have a raving fan customer for life, that says, you know what, and there were plenty of people that should have been looking at the date. The lender, they had all the dates, everybody had all the dates, but I wanted to take ownership for it. So all to say, sometimes when something like that happens, fix it and they will really appreciate you long term. And he's referred two people since. So
Yeah. Oh, that's a great example. And it's funny because we just had a question about owning a mistake and taking care of it. We also, I think this is a good time for me to drop this question, and we've got some others we'll ask at the end. Because I see this around the region. We have people with listings, and particularly luxury listings, which have been sitting. And the showings aren't coming and there's no closings. Do you have a thought on how you handle that? How do you get ahead of that? And if you start seeing that the showings and the closings aren't happening, what do you do? How do you handle that and still keep a winning formula with your customer?
It's painful. I'd say, you have to go back to real estate for me, it would be 8 years ago when, it was natural that things didn't move quickly. But I have a weekly call with my sellers. We send them a report each Monday that's a spreadsheet that tracks every single marketing thing that we do, every conversation with other sellers. And then obviously about once a month, I'm giving them a market recap. I'm big into analytics and data, so I'll provide them with charts that shows where the market is. So, and it's being honest. Again, you usually, if you show someone data and show what other properties are doing, you give them options and you talk to them about here are your choices. We can drop the price, we can sit, you can pull it off the market, you can rent it. So I would say I'm just very, very honest and open about what you could do.
Yeah, so I love that. So the tips I took away there, Taylor, thanks for the question. Make sure you're updating weekly and you're comparing numbers weekly and or monthly, and you're making the adjustments in a fairly rapid period of time. So you don't get too far behind the 8 ball and you're analyzing the market for them. And then the choice is theirs, right? To decide what they want to do.
It is. I think the other thing is, don't be afraid to pick up the phone. I think it starts to get really uncomfortable when things aren't moving. And really the worst thing that you can do is not pick up the phone and talk to them. Keep the rapport going. Don't rely on emails and texts. You need to get them on the phone and let them know that, here's where we are, because it's uncomfortable for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. All right, so we're going to go through another list here about exposure, but this is really kind of a fun section we're talking about next, which is marketing and getting maximum exposure for your people. And you've got some nice glitzy pieces in here that everyone I think will really love seeing. But start by telling us about your formula for a maximum exposure, and Alex will put this slide up here on the screen.
Sure. So I don't know that we're doing anything wildly unique, but I'd say that we are extremely consistent. And we're consistent with when we do things as well as in branding and how we present them. So we do a monthly email newsletter. You know, I am diligent in adding people to our database. They're, you know, obviously past clients, but Sphere, someone I have met at an event, someone from my kids' high school. I'm constantly adding people to our database. And so they're going to get a monthly newsletter via email. We then tag people in our database to those that we call them, you know, our top influencers in the area. That's about 700 plus people. And so every month they do get something in print. 4 times a year, it's a quarterly print newsletter that's high-end and nice. And then on the off months, they get a 6x11, you know, postcard that's either evidence of success, or if there's something that we are, you know, if we're sort of focusing in on seniors or any of those kinds of things, we, you know, we obviously, just like everyone else, are trying to find material that resonates. And then within our database, I make sure that, you know, key people are getting alerts in their neighborhood so that they're constantly seeing my face. This is all stuff one could do in command. I'm in Boomtown. We have super consistent social media. You know, we have 2 different handles. I have one that's more of a community brand, Ponte Vedra Focus, and the other is the Volen Group. We were always heavy into blogging. We've kind of fallen off of that a little bit in the past year just because we're busy. But, you know, we think about things that we're going to write about. We'll include blogs about people that are, you know, those that are loud in the community and like to be talked about. So we put a lot of thought into that. Heavy into donations and sponsorships. You know, I sponsor the middle school here because I like the teachers. My kids aren't in middle school, but you know, we do that. And Alex, if you'll hit the next button. And then other things, you know, I think most people at this point are doing events or thinking about events. We do a pickleball fundraiser. We've done that for the last 2 years. We may switch it up this year because now everybody's into pickleball. We do a cocktail party once a year. That's nice. That's to, you know, a variety of people. And when I say extra love to the extroverted, it's kind of what I was going to. If I'm going to write a profile piece on somebody for our website, I want it to be about Noelle Franco. She's this boisterous, loud, super social lady, and she loves to be profiled. She decorates her house, you know, for Halloween, and then she distributes content, and it all sort of drives back to me and the Volen Group. You know, so any kind of community engagement, we're heavy in that, and that's how we touch our Sphere past clients.
More donations to of lesser amounts, or you know, do you do more donations with maybe lesser amounts, or bigger donations to smaller groups to make a bigger impact? Does one make a bigger impact one way or the other?
So donations are funny because they're your passion causes or things that you care about. So as an example, the middle school here, my kids are at a completely different school, but I really appreciate the middle school teacher and how little they get paid for the horrible job that they do. So for Landrum Middle School, I give $5,000 a year, and I sponsor Teacher Appreciation Week. So that's a little bit on the higher end. Like for our pickleball fundraiser, I always choose an organization to donate to. You know, we're paying for a lot of the stuff, but we have people that are signed up to play. Whatever they pay goes directly to the organization, and then I usually match it. So that probably costs me about $5,000. And then in terms of the littles, if somebody calls and says, hey, can you sponsor my kids' dance team? Can you sponsor the swim team? Can you sponsor the Florida theater, I'll usually do anywhere, depending on how well I know them, $250 to $1,000. I mean, those are those are strategic, important donations to make. Like if one of your, I have a heavy hitter that's bought probably 10 million in property from me. If they ask me to support whatever they're doing, I do it because they send me business. And
So yeah, I love that. So passionate about what you're doing, and then just sort of measure and nurture that. Let's
Absolutely.
get into some of those marketing pieces that you talked about and the strategy behind marketing at a really high level to keep listings coming and business coming.
Okay.
You started with quality paper and printing, and then take us through some of the pieces that you use here, strategies and pieces.
Okay, so we do a quarterly mailer, and Alex, if you hit 3 times, there you go. There it comes. So this is a fold out. It's 4 pages, and only 3 could fit on the slide, so that's all you get. But on the front, I always write a smart, intelligent article about the market. Again, writing is a talent of mine. I like analytics, and I love to appeal to wealthy investment types. So I want good meat and potatoes in the article. Then we have 2 pages of stats that you can see. We break it down into the neighborhoods that are, key to us, our key spots. And then I always have consistent branding on the back. So this goes to 700 plus people. Again, I'm adding addresses all the time. If I meet somebody that is influential or important, I may not even be good friends with them yet, but I do have that. And, I'd say it's about $1,500 a quarter to do. We send it up to a printer in Atlanta, and it's thick paper. It's really nice, and people will take pictures of it and send it to me. So I know they're getting it, and I know that they think it's a nice piece.
Beautiful. Yeah, and then you've got a monthly mailer you do, right?
Yes. So on the off month, so that goes out 4 times a year. And then the other 8 months of the year, people are going to get a 6x11 postcard from us. So it's a little bit bigger. This is all done in Command. The newsletter is not. All designed in Canva, by the way. But so this, again, same database of 700 plus people, and it's about consistency. They're getting on my social media. They're very consistent on that. They're getting something monthly. They're also getting neighborhood alerts, as well as, an email newsletter on a monthly basis. But this is always nice. Like in this case, it was evidence of success. I didn't have the energy to think about something super exciting to send out, but this is just an example. And you can see on this and before, again, we're very consistent. Our tagline, experience is everything, ours and yours. We usually have some show-offy stats, that kind of thing.
Yeah, fabulous. This is great. Your database, you have a really sizable database that you like to work, like over 7,000 people, right, in there?
Right. We do. And that has been built, again, I probably broke rules when I first started way back when. I would just import lists of people that I knew, their emails. So I originally built it that way. And then, my website has good search engine optimization. So we probably get, I don't pay for clicks or anything like that, but we probably get 50 to 75 registrations per month. And so, anything digital is going to them. That, the print stuff is going to obviously a curated local group. So this is an example of the newsletter. And what we do here, nothing particularly exciting, but at the beginning, we always have 2 very local, articles. One's written, it's either by me or someone on my team. We make the content meaningful. I don't want it to just be boring real estate content. So we really try to make anything that we write something that would someone will want to click and draw them back to our website. Obviously, then we have listings. That's to keep sellers happy. We're networking it to our large database of important people. And then, again, more consistent branding with us at the bottom.
Yeah, your branding is very consistent throughout, and you have it on your, you like to share the fun that you have with your group. So show us some of these pieces, whether it's pickleball or some of the other things you do. We've got some other pieces here people can see and get an idea of what you're doing.
Perfect. Okay. So these are photos from our pickleball fundraiser. We've done it 2 years in a row. We'd never done it. Didn't really know. I didn't know how to play pickleball. No one did, but it was, definitely taking off. And now it's all the
Yeah.
rage. So we rented out, I think it was 12 courts, had the pickleball people sort of organize it. And then we had it catered with food and drinks, that kind of thing, had some silly awards. And then we had the recipient of the funds that we raised through it, at the party. So actually, honestly, pretty simple and easy to do. We may switch it up this year only because I feel like every group in town is doing a pickleball fundraiser or some sort of pickleball event. It's just like your golf tournaments. We're in a very golf tournament or golf course kind of area. I think people get tired of being invited to the same kind of events. So we may do a croquet fundraiser, which sounds kind of goofy, but I think it might be fun. So I think that'll be our next one.
Yeah, well, it's great. You have fun and you tied into a fundraiser, both. And then you also have your spring soiree. Tell us about that.
Okay. And to the pickleball fundraiser, the other I'm sure everyone knows this, but you do get additional registrations, and they of course are all added to our database and start receiving. And if there's anybody on the list that lives in sort of a strategic area, I then add them to the mail.
Okay.
Okay, so our spring soiree, it's a cocktail party, casual. We have it at a local, bar restaurant in the area, and it's been a lot of fun. We've done it several years in a row. We usually have 2 signature drinks, and then we have, beer and wine. I don't know if you can see our drinks, but this was back when the market was really hot. It was best offer and no contingencies were our drinks. But yeah, it's, I'd say we usually do a paperless post invitation. I'm not sending out print invites or anything like that, but we send out paperless post. I will invite anybody. We probably send out 350 invites. 75 usually come. We have a band, that's a friend, again, sort of in the spirit of including everyone and giving shout outs to people that we love that also send us business. He's our musician. And so super easy, not a hard one to do at all. And then I see a gift basket there. I think one of our title companies, had a gift basket. So we did a drawing for that. But, it's 5 to 7, very simple. And people really enjoy coming back to it.
Yeah, and it's about having the event, but also just making that connection with people so they know they're invited. And then if they missed it, it gives you an opportunity to follow up and say, we missed you.
Of course. And people, you hear this at family reunion, people really do appreciate being invited to stuff. Like I personally am not a very good large party person. Not dying to go, but people really appreciate it. Once I get there, it's fun.
Yeah. All right. Tell us about your record-breaking sale. This is a really fun thing with a high-end client that most everybody on this call, I think, would know.
So last year, I prepped for this listing for about 6 months. As you can see, Ed Milet was the buyer. He was the keynote speaker at Family Reunion last year. But I started working on the listing about 6 months before it went live. Very unique and challenging property to market in that the house was not finished. So it's a high-end modern home on the ocean, but it's covered in paper and plastic, and it was going to be tough. So a ton of planning went into getting it ready. We had all sorts of great collateral, but indeed Ed was the buyer. And I thought this would be helpful for people that are worried, or they have people hounding them to get their listings in the New York Times print edition or Wall Street Journal. He called me after seeing it on Zillow. But the reason was because he had local contacts. And this is something actually after this all happened, I wrote a marketing white paper for my customer set so that they could understand that while you do market globally, likely the person buying is going to have some local connection. And that's what happened with Ed. A couple of people that he knows live in the community. So he calls me, I'm doing something in my backyard, and I answer the phone. He goes, "Hi, my name is Ed Milet." And I didn't know who he was. Outside of the fact that my team leader had just gotten back from family reunion and had said, "Oh, this guy Ed Milet spoke, blah 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 blah." So anyway, it very interesting negotiation. The seller was a coach for originally for the Jacksonville Jaguars and had relocated to the Seattle Seahawks, and then Ed was the buyer. Super exciting, stressful sale to handle, if you can imagine, but he's ended up turning out to be a good friend. He's a very nice man, and I'm hoping I can show you guys the website for this. I don't know. Alex, can you I don't know if it's going to work. Ironically, our website was down today, but I could show you kind of the marketing collateral we did. It doesn't work. So sorry about that. But so one of the key things in the marketing for this, I did a CAD model of the home in 3D, and I paid obviously a architect to go through and do this. It took them probably 45 hours to do. They took all of the drawings and then inlaid every single finish to the home that was in the house. So you literally could go through the home and see the actual countertops, the flooring, the fixtures. So it was a pretty big endeavor. And then we did I actually have a print copy of this. We did a really nice I think I do lookbook for the house that we had online. So this is kind of an example of, and we have listing booklets like this, but it's higher end, it's heavy paper. And then we went through and had the finishes for each room in there. Again, all clean, all consistent, branding with, floor plans, and then of course us on the back.
Yeah, that's great. Is there a marketing fee up front for what you do, or is that part of the service you're giving people?
That's just part of the service. In the case of this seller, I knew it was going to be a long haul, or I thought it was going to be. It actually sold quickly, but our high sale to date had been $10 million. So it was not, we have very nice homes, but it isn't Miami. We're not to that level yet. So, when I signed up with him, I said, "Look, we're going to need a year." At first I said 2 years. He said he would do a year listing. And I said, "Okay, well, and if you want out, there is a fee. I don't do a percentage." I just said, "Look, I would appreciate it if you would cover my marketing costs, because it's expensive to kick stuff off like that." Luckily, my business is good. So even if I ate $50K, it wasn't going to be some giant nightmare for me, but a big endeavor to take on for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, congratulations on a terrific sale.
Well, thank you. I'm sorry the website didn't work, because it looks really good.
Yeah, it does. And you gave us some, we know those things are working because you got Ed involved with the way that you put this together when he saw the pictures and the photos and stuff that you had. Is there anything else you'd say about curating a high-end client? Anything else about the way you handled that deal that might have been different from another deal?
Honestly, I wouldn't say it's that different. I mean, I think it's being genuine and showing your personality. Like, I was able to build banter with Ed right from the start, and he wasn't easy. Keep in mind, I mean, there were some tough moments, for sure in there, but really, again, I think it's being honest and genuine. There were moments where he got frustrated, and I actually learned something from him in communicating with people, and that was voice texting. So, this guy is that guy is busy.
Yeah.
He is traveling. He is all over the place. He's on stage in front of, 50,000 people. He's got to, and while we were negotiating, he'd say, "Well, I got to go on stage in a minute, blah, blah, blah." But then he would send me voice texts, and I realized, there was a rocky point in the negotiation, and it was because I was trying to email him information, and he's a spot reader, right? Like he's a spot reader. I'd never voice texted. He'd been sending me voice texts. Like it's just not a habit I'd ever had. And then I realized to get things back on track, I voice texted him. I said, "Hey, yeah, I think we've got a misunderstanding here." You know, anyway, that was something in terms of communicating with him, trying to find the style to communicate with them that worked best. And you know, the seller on the other side, if I was dealing with, you know, a super exuberant, fun, hyper guy on one side, the other was like, you know, talking to a sleepy cat in a corner. So I really had to learn how to, you know, morph my personality to speak with them. So it really was about, you know, there are all those classes on mirror matching and using their words that you practice. But yeah, you know, I'd say with that level of person, more so than ever, it's figuring out the best way to communicate with them.
Yeah, yeah, and very observant of you to notice how he was doing that and when he was doing that. So experience is everything. I want you to close with this slide and just tell us again about the experience you try and create for your people and how that's important and consistent in your group.
So the tagline is really exactly that. It's the experience that we bring to you, highly experienced, great at negotiating, all of the things collectively that we provide. But then it's also, we truly want our buyers and sellers to have the best experience possible. Like I, you know, more than my paychecks, I want them to be appreciative and think that I did a good job. Like that's why I do it. More so, the money's great, but really it is, you know, them coming back and saying that it was the best experience that they could have had.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I want to bring Kathrin back in here. I think I missed a couple of questions in the chat box. We'll ask those. And if anybody else has a question for Gwinn, we'll give you a chance here to ask her. You guys have been great about using the chat box as we go. It's been fun. Kathrin, pop back in and tell us what we missed. I think a couple of questions early on that people might have had.
Okay, great. Awesome. Well, this was really wonderful information. I learned a lot, took a lot of notes. So we have a few questions in the chat. So the question number one is, how did you get into luxury from the $50,000 listing? So the 50,000 was back when Zillow was cheap to sign up for. That was a Zillow lead. But honestly, it's my network. You know, it's my network. And I will say, about 10 months into my first year, there was an older agent in my office who I was working the floor. I worked at a boutique real estate agency, and she said, "Hey, do you want to work with me?" And I was like, "Sure." And so I was, you know, basically we teamed up, and I had at that point some content to talk about. And so I was able to quickly show some evidence of success with some of her listings. And then that really helped me early on. And I hired a coach who kind of, you know, walked me through all that. But it was also where I was working. I was at Ponte Vedra Club Realty, which is a high-end real estate company, you know, so it was all of those inputs. Right.
Nice
Do you
friends.
have a coach now? Do you have a coach?
Yes, I do. And she would die if I didn't say anything about her. Her name is Lisa Becker. She's a MAPS coach, and she is instrumental in talking me off the ledge sometimes. So she's really, really good. Yeah.
So I hear you saying be yourself, work your environment, and be consistent, right, with those pieces.
Absolutely. And you got to work really, really hard. You know, you got to work really hard to get it going.
To make it work. Yeah.
I mean, because there'll be young moms sometimes that come in and are like, "Oh, do you love it?" And I'm like, "Well, I mean, I guess no, I do. I mean, I love what I do, but you know, they'll come and they want flexibility." And I said, this is really the least flexible job that you could ever have. So you need to understand that there is stuff that you give up, right? When you're wanting to sit down and hang out on a Saturday, and suddenly you're getting up to show a house.
Yeah, when you get the opportunity. Kathrin, anything else we missed in the chat box? Question?
We have one. Somebody was asking of an example when you made a mistake. I know you pointed out one mistake earlier on the timeline. But maybe give us another one and how you owned it to where they still wanted to work with you.
Okay. So, oh, there's so many.
That's the
No,
beauty,
well,
right?
so-
We move on.
So one, and this was very early on, and frankly, it was traumatic to me. I was working, it was probably my second year in the business, and I helped some buyers purchase intracoastal property. So it's a gorgeous home on the water, and there was an inspection, yada yada yada, and then I ran into them about a month later, and I said, "How's it going? Are you guys loving the house?" And he said, "Well, my daughter almost got electrocuted on the dock. It turns out it was live. There was the cable was not grounded, and she put her hand on it, and they had to knock her into the water." So I was like, "Oh my God." Well, he was an attorney, and he later, I think they were so upset by the incident that they initially tried to put blame on me and said, "Well, you were the one that chose the inspector." And I said, "Well, wait a minute. I gave you some names of an inspector, and it was never an equipment inspection." But he was getting very, very scary and litigious. I was panicked. And then I invited him into the office, and I had just a very frank, genuine conversation with him. And I said, "I am so sorry that this happened. I can't tell you, it makes me sick." And she was okay. I said, I don't know what I can say that makes you feel better. And so we just had a long heart-to-heart conversation, and they let it go, and they've let me sell 2 more houses since then. So it was really, rather than, I thought, okay, do I need to get an attorney? What do I need to do? It was just being honest about how I thought it was horrible. I really didn't think it was my responsibility, my problem. But anyway, so
It's back to your circle of trust, right?
No, it really is. And that slide, that I think Jason Abrams did it, to me really does, when you're good, you've got to be all the things, right? You got to work really hard, and you got to be good at your job, but then you need to do what you say you're going to do. You need to care. And I don't just mean, I care about people, but I get probably way too emotionally invested in my people. Like I take it all personally. I wake up a lot at night just worrying. I'm a worrier, but I think that's a lot of it.
So
Right.
we have just 2 minutes left. I want to ask you 2 quick questions here. Your one best surprise and delight idea during a deal, and then we're going to bring Julia right on for the last question here before we close it out. So best surprise and delight idea.
Oh God, I am so bad on my feet. My best surprise and delight. I don't know. I don't know. We will do again. I should have Nancy with me, because she's
Well, I'm just going to jump in and ask you this. It sounds to me, based on what we've heard from you, you're not as much surprise and delight as you are listening closely to what that particular person is
correct.
asking for.
I don't have any canned gifts at all.
Yeah.
I know. Okay, so I grew up in Augusta, Georgia, and I get master's tickets. And so if I work with someone who is just super passionate about golf, once we get, near the end, I'll surprise them with 2 days at the Masters. And they're
Awesome.
delighted and surprised.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, that's a prize ticket for sure. All right, Julia Wright, you're up with the next question. Let's pop Julia in and give her the last question for our call today.
Thank you. You are amazing. I've been in the business 8 years, and to know that you've started this team and done these numbers is awesome. I guess my question is, I do a lot of referral business, and what I find is how to, like I just got one referred to me yesterday, a listing, and it may be at 275,000. What do you do when you're getting these referrals, and do you have a actual bottom line number that you won't work below?
So is this like for an agent referral?
Mm-hmm. Yes, agent
Congratulations.
referrals.
That's my one really weak area. Like I was looking at my sales, and it's like 70% sphere and past client, and I had like 1.8 in agent referrals. So I stink at that. So that's amazing. It would depend. I do not have a bottom at all. If I like the person all day long, I will help them. So I've never, but I do choose on geography. Like if I don't know that part of town, I'm not going to do it. Just because I don't feel like I would do a good job. I would just send them to someone else. So that would really be my cutoff. But even in the 275, I would give them the same.
Well, that's good to know, because you're such a luxury agent and your numbers, oh my gosh, it's astonishing.
But so those people, again, it's that what goes around comes around. Those people oftentimes will know someone else. That might just be one little thing, and then you just never know. And sometimes those people, a house at 275, it might end up being the most satisfying to you personally for whatever reason. You know what I mean? Like
and I've done a 250 to where she ended up buying a 1.8 with me. So
yeah, so some of those are just feel good. I don't know, like you just so if the people are nice, absolutely, I would do it.
Okay.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. Julia, thank you for your question. Appreciate it. And Gwen, thank you so much for sharing with us today. We're going to share with everybody a couple of events here just really quickly before we close out. But you've been terrific to share. And I know you're working on a couple of other ideas, so we'll bring you back and you can share some of those ideas.
And I'll be less nervous next time. How about
you
that?
were great.
You're great. We appreciate you very much. Thank you. And good luck to a great year in Jacksonville.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right, Kathrin, we're going to close it up by just sharing a couple of events that we have coming up. One, which I thought the group here would be especially interested in, actually two of them. One of them is 30, 60, 90, Success Through Others. We're going to be doing that one coming up in the Brevard County area in Melbourne, in our Melbourne Market Center. We did career visioning earlier. This is now you have a great person. How do you get them up to speed fast? And how do you keep them on your team for a long time? So the information is right here. You can use the scan code, or you can send to us later if you want more information. But that's it. June 12th from 9 to 4. It'll be in the Melbourne Market Center. We'll have a great time. And it's $99. We give you the lunch and materials, which is a whole big book deal. And we are excited to have you for that. The second one, and this one I just saw in Austin last week. It's a reminder of how powerful this company is and how Gary always has his eye on the future. And that one is the QL Summit for 2024. Kathrin, you remember what's special about this event, don't you?
Yes.
Gary Keller is the one teaching this. So yes. This is an opportunity to get your young adults in front of Gary Keller. Age 18 to 28, I think, is the window in there. But I would scan this code and do whatever you can to get anybody in that window in there. I think there's about 300 seats right now. 100 or so or more are gone. But I can tell you, my daughter went to this. It was incredible. She loved it. And she is a realtor today, probably in part because of that. So just want to encourage you to check that event out as well. Kathrin, closing comment, closing thought on Gwinn?
She was amazing. I learned a lot of new things. I already took screenshots of some things and printed them. Yeah. I loved her core values most of all, because I really think we are who we surround ourselves with. And we definitely want to also show our clients that our staff has the same values that we have.
Yeah, core values, and the fact that she knew what she wanted on her team is huge, especially when you go to find people or someone pops up and says, hey, I want to be in your group. You can identify it really quickly. We don't do that always, and Gwen does a terrific job at that, which is probably why she does 60 deals and does over 100 million in sales. So, Kathrin, thanks again for co-hosting. Thanks to all of you for being here. We will share with you the next luxury call and shoot an email out to you. In the meantime, have a great afternoon, and we wish you best of luck. If there's anything we can help you with, just send to us at kwrg9@kw.com, and we'll be happy to help out. Thanks, everybody. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.